and welcome to the Up the Villa podcast. If you're new, please do subscribe. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers now, which is a bit crazy. We had a very, very good month in October, so much support, and it's just been lovely having everyone kind of unite at a time where perhaps Villa have been disappointing us a bit. So yeah, that's been brilliant. So do subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, as always, get involved in the comments of this video. We've got the whole gang here today for our Manchester United preview. This is our last home game before the World Cup, so it's feeling a bit odd that this is the last time we'll be travelling down until Boxing Day, but a massive game really, as they all are. And I think now more than ever, we are kind of looking towards a new era. We've spoken a lot over the last week or so about what it's going to mean for the club now that we've got this exciting new manager coming on board who is joining us this week. And I suppose this weekend on Sunday is our first taster of what to expect now. We don't want to dwell too much on the past here, but obviously on Sunday or Saturday, sorry, we realised that, you know, there was still a lot of work to be done at Aston Villa, given the performance at Newcastle. So Unai has a big job on his hands, I think it's safe to say. And Luke did a great episode this week, if you haven't seen that already, talking about the 5 things that we think he really needs to do to get this Villa side firing and take us to that next level, which, you know, is really what we're all waiting for. But looking forward to the weekend and beyond. Like I say, we've got 3 games now, 2 in quick succession against Manchester United, and then the following weekend against Brighton. It's a very short space of time for him to come in and sort of, you know, set the world alight. So we're going to have kind of slightly more limited expectations, unless you're Justin, in which case you'll predict 6 points and through to the next round of the cup. But
thrown under the bus already.
It's all true though, mate. It's all true.
It's true, yeah.
It's all true, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think what we are waiting to see is just how quickly we will get the taste of the Unai Emery experience. So, 3 big games coming. We're currently sat 16th in the table. We have our fellow Midlands clubs sort of sitting on our tails in the table, and a couple of tough games. So I'm going to look to my colleague Luke here and see, how do we feel? We've got 3 games until a massive break, which is obviously really strange. We've got a new manager coming in, a whole new coaching setup. What should be the expectations for the next 2 weeks?
I think for me, there's excitement anyway, because Unai Emery's an elite manager, an elite coach. He has a track record of winning trophies. He's got a brilliant win percentage at every club he's been at. He's looked at Aston Villa and thought, you know what? I want a bit of that. I want to be involved in it. So that has already gave me confidence that he feels he can work with this squad. Like you say, it's going to be weird for him coming into Villa because he's got 3 games. And then for me, the best part of it is then he's got 4 or 5 weeks to implement his tactics. I think they're going to Dubai, aren't they? They're going to have warm weather training there. They've got, you know, a friendly against Cardiff. So he's got time there to get his beliefs and his philosophy across to the players. So I expect us to come firing on Boxing Day, and after that, you know, the amount of games we've got until the end of the season, I think we will see more. We will see a better version of Villa. But I think the 3 games that we've got now in quick succession, you know, it's just about getting points, isn't it? That, to me, that's all it's about. You know, it's going to be difficult because the 2 games we've got in the Premier League, Manchester United and Brighton, are really, really tough games. So for me, if we could possibly just go unbeaten, a win and a draw, that would be fantastic. Knock them out the cup. That would be brilliant.
All right,
But,
Justin.
you know, I've listened to, you know, yesterday when I was watching the Liverpool game, and Spalletti, their manager, he was talking about what he's done there and why they're doing so well. And he didn't speak about his players. He didn't speak about his tactics. He spoke about his connection with the fan base. He spoke about how the fans have created this atmosphere and this aura that they all love playing in. And that is what I think we need to do with Unai Emery and this team. We need to back them, and we need to create something that we haven't really created before. Well, we did have with Dino, but I think we really need to, you know, enhance the Unai Emery era. He's got 8 new staff coming, so NSWE have really, really backed him, which you'd expect. We've gave him a contract of around 4.5 years. Again, we've backed him. We've not gave a manager that type of contract for a certain amount of years until we gave a certain person one, and we know what happened there. It's sad to see Cutler go. McPhee stuck around. So I like that we've brought in his people, and it feels to me like we're going to allow him to have control, which is also really, really important. So I think I've gone off a bit off tangent, but I'm excited, looking forward to it. Just get some points now, and then we can sort of try and build over the next period. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that point on being unbeaten is probably key for me. We went on that little run, didn't we, not too long ago, where we were unbeaten. And I feel like that phrase of being unbeaten kind of does mask over a lot of problems. So I feel like just while we're bridging that gap to this sort of, once again, mini pre-season almost, to go unbeaten would be special. And I'd also like to touch on that point of sort of a club culture, which I think is a big thing that we're talking about with Unai joining the club. On Sunday, I am imagining that Villa Park should feel really optimistic and hopeful. It's a big game. I think in general, as much as we perhaps don't have a good record against Man United at home, we seem to like playing them in terms of we as fans really feel up for the occasion, perhaps on the hope that one time we might actually get the win at Villa Park. But with that in mind, with the new manager, the start of this new era, I do feel like we can really get behind the team on Sunday. And perhaps that'll be, like you say, the thing that gets us over the line, because they are going to be really tough fixtures. I mean, Brighton, they've lost Graham Potter, but they, you know, blew Chelsea away at the weekend. I feel like we shouldn't get carried away with all the excitement, and perhaps, you know, look at this as a time to sort of bridge the gap, get through to the World Cup, some good performances, some good sort of signs of what to expect, but just get us over the line. Justin, you are far more optimistic than I am. Am I being too cynical? Do you think that we're going to see a quick turnaround from our new manager?
I think I'm far more optimistic than anyone, to be honest, in my whole life. I have been. So having said that, I had a DM this week, Luke, of somebody that said they watched your video the other day and said, Luke is really, really excited for Emery, isn't he? I said, yeah, I think he's buzzing for it. But I share the optimism, I share the excitement. You know, I've been around longer than you lot, unfortunately, and I've seen a lot of managers come and go, but this one excites me massively. And I've probably said that about the last 10, to be honest, but this one really does excite me. If you just dig slightly, you haven't even got to dig that far into his record, to be honest, just to look at what he's achieved in the game. And if that doesn't excite you, then you might as well pack up watching football, because the one thing that's been missing is that elite manager and elite coaching setup. Dino brought us back from the brink. Stevie G couldn't take us on to the next level, so he paid for it with his job. And so we've gone full bore now for, in my opinion, one of the top managers in world football, not even, in Europe. It's a shame he's had to come in under these circumstances, but ultimately that's why he's got the job, because of where we are. The last manager was failing. So he has got a little bit of pressure on him to try and pick up a few wins quickly. Not, I would say, in the next 2-3 weeks. That's, whatever happens in the next 3 games, he's irrelevant, really. We'd like to pick up points, but it's more important that he's. And to be honest, we're all a bit peed off that the World Cup's coming around the corner, but in reality to our season, it couldn't have come at a better time, in my opinion. It's phenomenal for a new manager to come in, get 3 games with his squad, and then get to go away on a 6-week pre-season. You know, that's manna from heaven from a new manager coming in, because he gets to go away and lock himself away with his squad. Great that they're going abroad. They can have some real good team building. They can get to know all the coaching staff. They can, they can delve deep into what he does, which is analyse and get them going and know exactly what he's all about. He can almost do 2 training sessions today and have an evening sort of sitting around watching the videos that he loves to show them all. And if I'm a Villa footballer now, I'd be like a sponge. I'd be wanting to take in every single aspect of this man's career and every single word. I'd be hanging on every single word he says, because we have got some very, very good footballers at Villa, and all they're lacking now, in my opinion, is the direction to make them very good footballers. Yes, we've got elite players that have been at the top, like your Coutinho's, and your Martinez's obviously won international trophies, but the rest of them, realistically, there's not a lot of trophy wins in that squad. So to have a manager that comes in with the record he's got, they've just got to look at him and say, okay, if you can help us win something and get into Europe over what is 4.5-year contract, if he can put one trophy on the table in them 4.5 years and get us qualified for Europe within the next 2 or 3 years, that's a massive success from where we've been in the last 10 years for me. So it's not a huge ask. All right, trophy win is a big thing, but that's his MO, isn't it? He's a trophy manager, cup manager, with good success in the league as well. But over the next sort of 3 games, I just want to see him implement his style, his sort of formation, if you like. Not particularly his style, because it's going to take long to get that in, but his formation, get that set. It'd be great to see the team how he sets it up on Sunday and the next 2 games after that, and then disappear off. I'm happy to let him have that time to go and sort it out. Yes, it's going to be annoying not being able to go down to Villa Park, but when they come back on Boxing Day, then the real work starts, and we can start really assessing how the next sort of phase of Villa's life is going to end up.
Yes, you are right indeed, and it does feel a bit weird that these games, as much as we want to do as well as possible, it almost feels like they are just a bit of, not pointless, because of course every game counts, and we are at the bottom of the table at the minute, but you're almost kind of just waiting for them to be over so that the real work can start, because you just know until then these games were almost like a taster for him to suss out what he likes in the team, where he thinks the coaching really needs to be focused, and then that period over the World Cup until the post-Christmas, that he knows exactly what needs to be done. And all that starts from this week. He has entered the building and the work starts now. And obviously the first test, as we say, is Sunday's game against Manchester United. They've hit some decent form. They are now unbeaten in 8 games across all competitions. They've been a bit of a laughing stock, haven't they, amongst football fans who quite enjoy to pick fun at Manchester United. But the new manager has come in and has very much steadied the ship. They've had some good results. In the last few weeks, they've picked up points against Chelsea, against Newcastle. They beat Spurs. So, they're coming into this fixture probably full of confidence. They've just beat West Ham at the weekend. So by no means is this an easier fixture than it has been in previous years. We mustn't forget that we have beaten them not too long ago. Think back to that Courtney Hawes header at the back post, which was obviously an amazing memory in the last couple of years. But at home, the record's a bit smelly, isn't it? Ryan very kindly reminded of us of that stat in the group chat earlier today. So on that note, I am going to pass to you, Ryan, and get your sentiment ahead of Sunday's game. Obviously, not a great record, but how can we turn the tide this weekend?
Yeah, that record stinks. It stinks their plies out. I've been a season ticket holder since that year, or slightly before, maybe the year before. So I've never, ever, ever, ever seen us beat Manchester United at home. I'm expecting a very, very good atmosphere on Sunday. The crowd, if we go back to what Luke was saying there about uniting the crowd and getting behind the team, Villa Park historically has always reacted to pretty much what's going on the field. If the play is good, if we're attacking well, then the crowd will be good. When we're down in the dumps, we're quiet. So I think that mentality's got to change. Obviously, the manager and the players have got to set that tone, but we've got to follow. We've got to follow, and it can't just be the whole end. I know the North Stand lower generates an atmosphere, but it's time all four corners of the stadium start erupting, because you hear so many people talk about how good it is to play at Villa Park, and when that when that crowd is behind you, it is the 12th man. I heard Sherwood saying it on TalkSport the other day, and really Sherwood, when he first come in, he generated an atmosphere that some of them atmospheres against West Brom and stuff like that. It was really, really good, and we went all the way to the FA Cup final off the back of that. So I really want to see that atmosphere at Villa Park really generated. It was good. It was good against Brentford, and we've got to go again, haven't we, against United? And United is a tough game. They are building nicely. Ten Hag's getting his ideas across now. They look solid. They look comfortable. They look measured. Rashford now is starting to produce again. I feel like he went very, very stale for the last 2 years. But he looks dangerous. Just in time for a trip to Villa Park, no doubt. De Gea, he had a good game after a bit of a shaky season. The new signings are settling in. Martinez at the back. Casemiro, is that? Yeah, in midfield.
Casemiro,
he's them two used to play a double pivot, didn't know, with McTominay and Fred, but he's doing it on his own. He's a world-class talent. So they are producing some good results, but it's Emery's first game. And don't know, just fancy us to do something. I always fancy us to do something.
I know you love a little cheeky stat, but have a listen to this then. Unai Emery's record against Manchester United in the Premier League: 2 draws, 1 win, unbeaten. Beat them in the cup against United in the Europa League as well. So Emery loves playing United.
Exactly. And I always let myself believe that we can get something, regardless of form, regardless of my own dread or anything like that. I just feel every game I go into it believing we can get something. And I think the day I lose that feeling is the day that I stop going Villa Park. So we'll be all up for it Sunday, especially with that stat.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. I mean, we can all get down in the dumps sometimes, but the minute you stop getting excited and feeling like you can win a football match, where's the love of the game gone? I think for me, I am nervous about the game. I think I'm nervous about most games these days, but I think what I'm really looking forward to seeing and excited to see is some of that in-game management and just seeing him on the touchline, how he's going to structure the team. So I'm actually looking forward to it. Maybe not even from a footballing perspective, but sort of the coaching perspective. What's he going to do? How's he going to change the game? That stat there, Luke. Yeah, wet my taste buds a little bit there, and I am just starting to think, what's possible?
Fernandes is out. He's not going to be playing. He's got a suspension. Anthony didn't play against West Ham, so he's a doubt. They're in Spain, Real Sociedad on Thursday as well. So
you never know.
Catch him cold.
You never know. Well, that's the thing, and I think one of the weaknesses, which I'm not sure if people have spoken about too much, but I do feel like they're still slightly toothless in attack, which is rich coming from a Villa fan, considering the season we've had. But I do think they look really solid as a unit. But even in games where they're dominating, they're not necessarily blowing teams away. It was a narrow 1-0 against West Ham. And they've had a lot of those games, whether it's come in draws or even in victories, where they've still not really sort of cut teams open. And I'm setting myself open.
So they're 3 points off third place, aren't they? And they've only got a +1 goal difference, I think. So that backs up what you're saying there, H.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think if we look into this game, as much as, you know, we want to be optimistic, you have to kind of be realistic that we're coming off the back of a really difficult time. So what are the aspects of this United team that perhaps are going to play into our favour? With the home side here, like we've mentioned, we're going to have the crowd behind us. They're not scoring bundles of goals, neither are we, you know, granted, but it's, you know, it feels like they're not a United side of, you know, 20 years ago. We still are in this game. And I feel like you have to remember that when you're going into these fixtures and you feel like the massive underdog, you have to kind of realise that, you know, they're not unbeatable. This United side aren't scoring bucket loads of goals. So how do we deal with that? And that's where the manager comes into this now. He's going to know. He's been watching his videos while he was waiting for his visa to be processed. You know, he was probably sat in the office watching a tactical breakdown of Manchester United or something. So on that note, Luke, I know you're getting very excited by the tactics and the manager, and you know you've pulled up that stat that he clearly has a very good record against United. Do you think he's going to be able to pull it out of the bag?
Yes.
That wasn't fair.
I'll say yes, because I think it's going to be a little bit like the Brentford game. And
4-0.
we are a complete...
I'll take a 4-0.
No, not for that aspect. Not for that aspect, right? In the sense of Ten Hag has no idea what we're going to do. Right? He's got no idea, has he? So I don't know how we're going to play. The fans don't. And I think that will play into our hands as well. And I think that's what happened against Brentford. We came out, we blew Brentford away. And it will be difficult for Man United to adapt to Emery's tactics in this game because it's the unknown, isn't it? I've got a feeling the way Emery's going to approach these 3 games, he's going to approach the United ones like a cup game, I think, and a 2-legged cup game. That's how I think he's going to approach it. I think we'll be difficult to beat on Sunday, and I think we'll go for it against United at Old Trafford. And I think we'll be quite tight. He won't want us to be really open, and I just think we'll be difficult to play against. I'm really looking forward to 1:00 on Sunday when I see what that team looks like, when I see what that formation looks like. Are there going to be any players in there that we don't expect to be in there? Because I don't foresee him going with anything like what we've been going with recently. So I think that's going to be really, really interesting. The formation's going to be interesting. And I think, like we've all said about the atmosphere at Villa, I think Sunday, for me, has got to set the tone of the atmosphere of what it's going to be like week in, week out at Villa Park. So I watched Man United against West Ham. I thought they were all right. They were pretty solid. I think West Ham had a couple of chances. I don't think United, footballing wise, are playing that great. I think they're just sort of like petering through games, aren't they? And they're just doing enough. But what we saw last season when we went 2-0 down and we conceded really early again, you don't want to be chasing games against Manchester United, because for me, when I look at United, I always think once they get ahead, they're pretty good at sort of like just going through the game and going through the motions, because I think they've got a decent squad that can sort of like shore up things. So, for example, they can bring on like a McTominay who's pretty solid. They'll bring on Fred. They've got Casemiro in the middle. They've got these players that are just pretty solid. So I think we've got to just make sure that we don't concede early and we stay in the game for as long as possible, because I think the crowd will do quite a lot on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that point there on them being hard to beat is exactly what we want to be. We're not expecting for him to come in and turn it around that quickly. And the interesting point on the team selection is that he's going to have only had a handful of days really to get a proper idea of who he's going to choose. Yes, he'll probably have been monitoring the situation for the last couple of weeks, but he's coming into this and meeting the players one on one might completely change his mind. So, like you say, Sunday at 1 o'clock, we could be completely surprised. It's slightly exciting for me, but also slightly nerve wracking that we've got no idea what's going to happen. But in a sense, like we've got that trust now where you kind of know that the manager is making real good tactical decisions, and you have to support that. So, Justin, and finally, I'm just going to come to you and get your thoughts ahead of Sunday's game. I know, we touched earlier on about these being games that we perhaps aren't expecting to win. Going unbeaten would be positive, but at 1 o'clock on Sunday, what are you hoping to see, and are you feeling positive?
I think you know the answer to that, Hannah, don't you? I am feeling positive. There's a limited amount of stuff he can do. He's got 4 days, hasn't he? Let's be right. He's got 4 days on the training ground. He's meeting almost every player that's there, apart from I think Martinez and anyone else he might have met, in his travels. He doesn't know. I'm sure he's done a lot of research in the last week since he's took the job on of what he's got and where they're playing, what they do. He's probably watched about 300 videos of all of them by now. So he's going to have a very good idea of how he wants to play. I'm sure he's probably been briefed on fitness and injuries and how we stand on that way. He's probably spoke a lot to Aaron Danks, I would imagine, on his thoughts on how things have been going and how the last 2 games have gone and how he's tried to attack it. So in them 4 days, I would imagine that the most important thing he'll be working on is shape of the team. He's obviously he'll know straight away how he's going to set it up, and then it'll be getting into the players and how he wants them the shape to look with and without the ball. And that's, I think, pretty not an easy thing to do, but it's not overloading them with data, is it? It's like, this is how we're going to play. This is how I want you to look when you haven't got the ball, and when we have got the ball, you can start to feed these things into them early. Yes, it's going to be a lot for the players to take on board, so he's not going to want to overload them with stuff and data and things. But I think he'll try and, as it is Man United and as it is a tough, first game for him, he's going to want to make us tough to beat. He's going to make us tough to break down. So the formation will be very interesting how he sets them up. And we're probably trying to bit on the break because we have got pacey players in Bailey. We've got tricky players that can keep the ball and open teams up. We've got strikers who can score goals, given the right service. So that's going to be interesting to see how he tries to sort of integrate those into the side and how he's going to try and create openings for them. As you've all said, the crowd's going to be hugely impactful on Sunday. And one of the things I love when we have a new manager is getting there early, getting to my seat early, and that walk down the touchline when he's announced, because, we've got to show him the love, and we will show him the love. There'll be a standing ovation and there'll be some chants, and hopefully when he gets to that dugout and the game starts, he looks around and thinks, yep, I made a fantastic choice coming here. And then it's down to the players, isn't it, to perform on the day. And as we've seen over the last few years, it's we're so up and down. What we spoke about in the pre-season was consistency, and we still haven't seen that. So, it's something he's got to work on, and he's got to get the best out of his players somehow. But I expect us to play well on Sunday. I expect us to put in a good performance. They'll all be wanting to impress the new manager. Whoever gets to start the game will want to put their early markers down for, you can trust me, boss. I can do this and I can do what I'm asked to do here. And the ones that are on the bench, if they get a chance to come on, they're going to want to say, yeah, I think I'm worthy of a start. So they've all got things to work on. They've all got things to show that they can do. It's a clean slate for all the players. So, players that have been on the fringes and sort of bombed out a little bit might get a chance. It'd be very interesting to see how he goes about it and what he thinks of the current squad we've got. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for that 2 o'clock to start on Sunday, and I can't wait to get down there again.
Me too. And please don't mention the C word of consistency, because it does send shivers down my spine with how much we've spoken about it in the last 12 months. But yeah, I mean, we're coming off the back of a bit of a rubbish time. What's better than getting down Villa Park with your mates, with your family, and celebrating a new manager and getting behind your team in a big game? It's what it's all about. We're here to be positive. Yes, I think we're all aware that it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be teething problems, but looking ahead to Sunday, we're being positive. And on a very positive note, I'm going to roll on to score predictions. Justin, you're going last. We'll save the best till last. I'm going to start off with mine. I'm going optimistic, because why the hell not? Life is too short. I'm going for a 2-1. We're going to score 2 goals. Don't ask me who. But I don't know. I have got a good feeling, and as much as I'm nervous, I'm being positive and just hoping that some of that positivity at some point will pay off. So that is mine. Luke, what are you saying?
First, I need to give a shout out to Clive, security guard at Villa. I think he's in the Trinity Road, so I've been told to give a shout out to Clive. I'm going to go with 1-1. I think it's going to be a draw. It's going to be a draw.
We'd be happy with a draw, I think. I think
100%.
a draw would be
100%.
a good result. Yeah, blind optimism from me. Ryan, what do you think?
Emery is the man. He's an architect, isn't he? He's the architect. He's the design and builder of the underdog team, isn't he? So with our stinking record, I do think we're the underdog. I'm gonna go. Sod it. I was gonna go 0-0, but let's go with a sneaky 1-0. Let's have a goal. I don't know. Last 10 minutes or something. When was the last time we had a late goal in the game?
Last minute winner.
Yeah, last minute. Place erupts. Let's put the 0-0 in the bin and we'll go for a 1-0 late winner.
Yeah. That's the vibe tonight.
Yeah.
Right, he's rubbing his hands. He's doing his warm-up. Drum roll, please. Justin, what do you think the score will be on Sunday at 5 o'clock?
I'm more surprised Ryan hasn't said foundations tonight. His usual words with new manager coming in. Get them foundations sorted. Right, I've had a score in my head ever since I've sort of realised that his first game is going to be Man United. I've had a score in my head. A very famous game I went to, and it was famous because of what happened on Match of the Day on the evening, that you'll never win nothing with kids. We beat Man United 3-1 that day. So I am going on. We're going to do a replication of that game. We're going to do them 3-1 at home.
Well, I expected nothing less, Justin. You've topped that off very nicely. On that note, nothing else needs to be said. Thank you all very much for watching. Again, do subscribe if you haven't already. Let us know your score predictions, how you're feeling ahead of the game. I hope you're all as positive as Justin is. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.